especially if you drink the Norwegian drink akevitt, which I told you to drink on Friday. That kind of messes you up. So I hope no one did that. Don't do that with akevitt. That's a pro tip.
That's the word of the day. That was If you haven't figured it out, I'm visiting Norway this week.
Yeah, and it was not Nick that was sick on Saturday. Just saying, it was someone else. And for all you know me, know who that was.
Cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Power Platform Boost podcast with your host, Ulrike Akrebek, and myself, Nick Dolman. And we're here for all the latest news and updates in the exciting world of the Power Platform. And once again,
we're in the same
space. You can. That was horrible. But yeah, so we're face to face again. And this is really cool. I love doing these podcasts together in the same room, in the same country.
Yeah, we don't have beers this time, but other than that, it's pretty good. Yep. We're actually, we've spent the day at a customer site, so we're actually still here, probably the last people here in the afternoon doing this podcast. So this is really cool. Really like being in the same space. Makes it easier. It's more fun.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. It's always fun, though.
It's always fun. More fun, though, when I can see you, hear you. And probably not as fun as for the audience, because I'll probably look more at you and then at the thingy. So, yeah, sorry, people. I'll probably just, this is how it goes. So any news and updates this week, Nick, that you wanted to, or maybe I can go first because I'm first on the list. Actually, we do have a list.
We do have a list. Yeah, go for it.
Right. So just wanted to shout out anyone that uses Discord. It was brought to our attention that there's a Discord channel called Power Platform Level Up. And there was an invite link by someone called Dan's Maverick is what it says. Maybe it's Dan Z or Dan or Dan's, I don't know, who provided the link. And it's at this moment, 88 people online and 693 members. So that's quite a crowd with MVPs and MSFT. Is that Microsoft?
I think so,
people?
Microsoft people. And I signed up. I hopped in a little bit, saw some of the conversation. So I think it's very developer friendly. And there's a lot of these communities around. And I think it's great because you can kind of find your group or what works best for you. So this is another one of these communities. Of course, like Microsoft has their online communities as well. But this is one that's, I guess, community run, I guess you could say. I think they have, different rules of conduct like they all do. And they all should, because unfortunately there are a few jerks out there. We got to keep under control. So yeah, definitely if you're a Power Platform developer and you want to help out or you sometimes have some questions, check out this Discord, the Power Platform Level Up. I know the guys on the XRM Toolcast were actually talking about it in their last episode.
Oh, yeah.
And that was...
Maybe that's where I picked it up.
Yeah, maybe. Nice little shout out to Daryl and Scott.
Yep.
They're chatting about that. So,
Last time they talked to a hacker. I listened to the latest episode. Really, really exciting. So yeah, check that out. And also in the Discord chat, there was a link to all of this is not a forum, it said, and a link to all the forums. So it's actually a good place to get links to other resources as well. So check that out. Is that for you? And of course, there's WhatsApp groups as well for those of you who prefer WhatsApp on your phone. I think there's Slack groups for different things. So if if you're comfortable in a space, look it up. Maybe there's resources for you.
And if you're new to the community is very open and welcoming. More than happy to but there are lots of options. So go in and find your table in the cafeteria, I guess is a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
And so moving on to stuff for the community as well, I saw a video by John Russell and Mike Gowland. Chris Huntingford was sort of on there. It was sort of those two guys demoing to Chris, and they recorded that. And they called it, the title of this is An Epic AI Solution. And now just note that this was recorded about the week before Ignite. But really what they did was they built a model-driven Power App that had links into using Azure OpenAI. And what it was actually pretty cool. It was a way to, do a bit of, it actually generated a Dataverse data model design.
Hmm.
And not only did it describe all the tables and the relationships and the links, but also generated something called, it's something live. I'm going to say, I don't want to call it Unicorn Live. I want Mermaid Live, maybe. And it generated that syntax that allows you to visualize, and created a visualization of the data model. And it was really neat. It was just sort of one of those situations where it's like John and Mike said, "Hey, we built this really cool thing, Chris, check it out." And they recorded the meeting for everybody to see, and it's on YouTube. So we're gonna have a link in the show notes. So if you're into AI and, of course, designing model-driven apps and experimenting with this stuff, check out that video. It was really kind of cool to see that, and just the format. It was very, kind of off the cuff. So
yeah. I really like that. I like the style. And I think that's something we could do more often, because you help each other out and we look at each other's things and then just record it and put it out there for everyone else to see. It's so nice. And this is what the customers want. This is what I hear all the time. Could you please show us this in a real customer setting? Or do you have a customer story to tell? Or can you show us a real solution where this is implemented? So if you all just put stuff up there, maybe that's a way to help customers see real live solutions that we build, and to find more good use cases for their requirements, probably. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also we wanted to shout out to, because we haven't in a while, the newsletters. So Power Platform Weekly and Power Platform Dev Weekly, that's two newsletters that you need to know about and follow. They come out every week, of course, mutually newsletters. And actually last week was Power Platform Weekly's 3-year celebration.
Wow.
That was a really, really cool thing to see, that they've kept it going for 3 years. And I know, because, we kind of picked up the glove from the Up podcast with Megan and with Lisa, and they also always mentioned the newsletters, and that's kind of where they got most of their content from, or some of their content, and that goes for us as well. So yeah, just if you want to get news and updates in your inbox every week, then yeah, links are in the show notes. Go ahead and subscribe.
Definitely, for sure. I do. It's highlighted Monday mornings to get the Power Platform Weekly, and then Wednesdays is the Power Platform Developer Weekly. Sometimes there's a bit of a crossover in content. Of course, there's other newsletters as well. We talked about Tino Rabi, Megan Walker has her marketing newsletter. So there's very specific newsletters as well to particular options of the Power Platform. So if you're interested in specific things, there's lots of other newsletters out there as well that we will refer to from time to time as we go through all of this stuff.
Absolutely. And you dived into something new this week, didn't you?
I did. Well, of course, I don't know if you heard, but the Ignite was on last week.
Was that the thing that we're not supposed to talk about? Was that all the co-pilots that we didn't?
Oh, man.
We're not going to mention? Can we get through this episode without saying the beep word?
The beep word?
Or the beep word? Or the beep word? It's just going to be a beep,
how
beep,
much,
beep, beep.
Yeah, how much editing of swearing do I need to do later on?
We'll see how much will you rant.
Will I rant? I'm not going to rant. No, this was cool stuff.
Everyone. He's going to rant.
I'm not going to rant too much.
Oh,
No,
really?
No, I'm not. Seriously. No, this is cool stuff. So, of course, well, obviously there was a lot of news. Everything was Copilot. I know I made the joke ahead of time, and I think that joke was going around various parts of the community. Like at Ignite, every time you hear Copilot, take a drink. And I think probably within the first 30 minutes, you would probably be on the floor, pretty inebriated with the amount of Copilots and things.
Especially if you drink the Norwegian drink akevitt, which I told you to drink on Friday. That kind of messes you up. So I hope no one did that. Don't do that with akevitt. That's a pro tip.
That's the word of the day. If you haven't figured it out, I'm visiting Norway this week.
Yeah, and it was not Nick that was sick on Saturday. Just saying, it was someone else. And for all you know me, who that was.
Cool.
All right, so back on track.
Back on track.
You played with
Microsoft Copilot.
What?
Microsoft Copilot Studio.
Yes.
So this is again another one of these situations where Microsoft will come out, through the doors, big explosions, whoop whoop, we have a brand new product. And then you look at it and then you see, well, like, wait a minute, that looks like it's a sticker on top of an existing product. And you peel back the sticker, and then you see what it was, the old product. So Microsoft Power Virtual Agents was renamed Microsoft Copilot. Now, this goes beyond a simple renaming.
Is it really?
Isn't
it Copilot Studio?
It's Copilot Studio. So whereas in PVA you built chatbots,
right?
Now in Copilot Studio you build copilots.
Yeah.
And it just goes above and beyond what PVA used to do. And I think some of these features had already begun to trickle in to PVA, but now this is kind of like a new thing. So you can create, copilots, which were formerly known as PVA chatbots, and you can still do it the way, setting up your topics and your entities and that whole fun stuff. They also have these concept of plugins where you can kind of plug into Power Automate and do a little bit more and actually kick off some other processes, which I know this was something that originally wasn't in PVA, but I think it was evolving towards that. You can create custom prompts. So instead of having your users having to type out these full lengthy prompts, you can begin to build some structure around that and incorporate some of your other data or some of these other responses to be a little bit consistent with this. Of course, then there's models as well. We can base on Dataverse data or other external, using other connectors, or just bringing in text and all this other stuff. So what I did, I went to go try this out. I live in Canada, so my tenant was Canadian, and the first thing that comes up, this is not yet available in your area. Like, some of the features were, but some of the features weren't. So that was kind of annoying. So I spun up a new environment based in the US. And then sure enough, I was able to begin to go in and start playing with this a little bit more. And I basically pointed one of these copilots I was creating to my SharePoint site where all my business documentation is. Of course, I have a lot of process documentation, I have a lot of project documentation, years and years of data that's sitting in there. And it didn't work at first, but eventually I started asking it questions on specific procedures that I do, like for discovery projects and things like that. And it started responding and giving me references. So my head's beginning to explode now, because you know what it's like. Sometimes we go to visit a customer and we say, well, do you have any documentation? Now, a lot of times they don't,
yeah, I know.
But then sometimes they do. They start handing us, there's this manual and this manual. I could just wow, we could start putting this into, some of these tools and start giving, hey, give me a summary of this, maybe outline the steps that they describe in this. I can just imagine just going through reams of this documentation in terms of research and things like that. It is just going to be such a game changer for some of these tools. And I know some of us are a little bit overwhelmed with hearing about copilots all the time, but now we're beginning to move in from this. I think we're beginning to go in from this, experimental playing stage. Now, some of those copilots I think are still there in that baby stage. But now we're beginning to move into, now as soon as my mind is beginning to go into, this is now going to help me in my day-to-day job. It's going to make it easier. I'm going to get better information. That's when the creative juices are going to start flowing. So I would say I'm such a noob in the Copilot Studio. I'm still clicking around, and big shout out to Lisa Crosby, who did a video, and thank you, Lisa, because that really help me ground me on a few of these concepts. But I think overall, over the next few weeks and months, I'm going to probably get more and more into it. And I think this is going to evolve into something that everybody, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to dive in and take a look at some of this stuff, because it's just, first off, it's going to help you with your projects and your work, and your customers are going to be looking for it as well. If I look back in the history, CRM version 1, that we saw a lot of potential, couldn't do a lot, but eventually when version 3 and version 4 came out, that's when we started doing cool stuff. And I think we're moving very quickly, if we're not already beginning into that, towards that move where we're going to be doing cool real world stuff with copilots.
And this is one of those things where you mentioned Microsoft Copilot, and that's something entirely different. That's the thing that you need 300 license seats for it to make work. But this is kind of the way that you could go about making something for your company, even though you don't have 300 seats. you have what, one seat? This
Yeah.
is what you can do. That kind of, yes, it's not the big corporate one, but you can make something that can actually help you. So you put this bot on top of your project site and make it the way that you did, right? Crawl through and index through all your project documentation. This can really help you going forward. So this is really cool. And then they've taken it one step further. Have you heard about Project Sophia?
I saw some of the announcements, and then I looked at the link, and I'm sort of, again, this is where some of this stuff is, there's crossover area, right? Because I think, ooh, is this something I can do to within Copilot Studio? But then this seems to be yet another level of evaluating your business data.
And this does exactly what you set out to do, but out of the box kind of thing. Because Project Sophia, and I must admit, people, I read this description, I don't know, 15 times before I got what this is actually about. Okay, so the way I understand, Project Sophia is a new kind of business application which is built AI first on top of your business data to kind of create a new interface for you to interact with the data underneath. So exactly the same that Nick wanted to do, except you don't build it. It's not a co-pilot. It's a completely new user experience. So I love Julia Strauss, and you pointed out to me, actually, she's Norwegian, represent. And she has a video where she goes through what this actually is, and she goes through, there's a demo to show what this can do. So in the demo, she uploaded an Excel spreadsheet with sales performance, kind of probably the same Excel spreadsheet that they use for the Power Automate, the advisor thing, right? The one that goes through, not the advisor, what is it called? The thing that the process
mining.
Right, the process mining. Kind of looks like the same Excel spreadsheets. And then Project Sophia will churn and index and go through all of that. And then you come into this blueprint experience that they call it, that has 3 columns. On the left-hand side, you have a text-based narration of your data, which actually goes through and looks at the data structure and the content and grabs certain things. So it will combine and look through different topics. It will understand that names are names of salespeople. It will understand your data on a very detailed level and bring things to your attention using the large language model underneath to actually understand the data. And then in the middle, you get that's the one, the column on the left. On the middle, you get a visualization of the same data. And on the right side, you have a suggestion of actions that you can, or prompts really, to get you going into diving further in. And there's something called an AI cursor, which you can enable. And then you can click on a specific visualization or one of the descriptions, and it can create a new blueprint, or it can create a new box in the blueprint, for instance, and you can ask it questions in that context. So the example that they use is, so why doesn't Lisa do a better job at, or what is she the bottleneck or something? And it will provide kind of a help or an assistant to what you can actually prompt further questions or solutions to that problem, or show you what the data is telling Project Sophia about this particular problem. So it's really cool. And I just, right now the demo looks very simple. It's based on an Excel spreadsheet, but sure, this is going to really revolutionize the way we look at going into data once you can have that on top. So really much looking forward to what this actually entails going forward.
Yeah. It's just like really cool. Like, again, I know there was a ton of these announcements and things like that, but then once you start to peel back the layer and realize what the potential is, that's like, this is, because that's what I wanted to build the Copilot for. Like, go into my project data, like how much am I going to be billing this year, and what's my planning and all this stuff.
Yeah, and but it's kind of a different thing, because we talk about AI and Copilots interchangeably, and like it's the same thing, but this is totally different. Mm-hmm. So the Copilot will be crawling through, indexing and then you can answer questions on your data. But this is something else. This creates a different user experience every time based on the data that you feed it. Now that's a completely different thing, and it's reimagining what a business application can be. And for those of us who work with Dynamics, that's it's scary and it's fantastic at the same time. I feel like this is maybe kind of the new evolution of the business apps. I'm a business applications MVP. This should, I need to figure out what this is going to be going forward. But I like that someone is actually putting something out there that can, be the next evolution of a business application. And it's AI driven from the bottom up. I love that. Yeah. It's so amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. And there were some announcements with on Power Pages site as well this week.
On Power Pages as well.
Yeah.
There was the online payment provider for Power Pages. Now, this is something that people over the years have always been needing to implement a payment provider in Power Pages. Now, even my training, I always wouldn't recommend you creating an e-commerce site, for example.
No.
Now, it's interesting. ADX Studio did have an e-commerce platform.
What do you use payment for then? What do you think it's more suitable for?
I think it's things for instance, if you want to make a donation,
right,
or you want to sign up for a membership, or you're going to sign up for a course, like more of those kind of individual transaction type of things where you're paying money, maybe a digital subscription of some sort. If you wanted to do like a shopping cart experience, like if you wanted to recreate Amazon using Power Pages. And I know by saying that out loud, I know Franco Musso is listening to this right now going, ooh, I'm going to do that.
That's a great idea. He made Spotify already. I mean, come on.
Yeah, go and build it.
What stretches that?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but aside from that, to create the shopping cart experience and do all the cataloging and things like that, there are other tools out there that do that better. In my mind, that you can still integrate into your Power Platform using connectors and different things. But this is a case of, there's always been that use case of, we want to, do a payment provider. So that's typically been a custom thing where in order, the other big thing is to say PCI compliant. PCI compliance is a huge deal in terms of making sure you're not capturing credit card information. None of that transaction information is going through your system. Because if hackers get a hold of that, then you're in deep trouble. Even if PCI determines that your site's not, or the credit card companies, if they determine your site's not PCI compliant, you could lose your credit card agreements, or you could be fined. A lot of things you need to consider. So it's always been a case of when you're building these applications, is sort of the end user is sort of Power Pages will hand off the process to the payment provider. You would do your credit card transaction, and then basically the credit card provider site would spit like a token back to your Power Pages site saying, yep, money received, or nope, credit card declined for various reasons. And then you would still have to write code to deal with all that. First off, to hand it off to the provider, and then also to deal with whether the payment's been successful or not. So now announced is online payment provider for Power Pages. So this is an add-on, very similar to the DocuSign, where you go in and you enable this for Stripe. It's using Stripe right now. I'm kind of hoping they will bring in other providers as well, or at least a framework that you could actually point it to your own preferred provider. But it literally took me, I did a video on this as well. It literally took me under 10 minutes to set this up in the preview environment. Using the Stripe developer dashboard, I set all that up. And then basically you go through, you enable it, you add it to a multi-step form. And then you basically have a field where put in the amount. Of course, you could feed this from, let's say you're picking a membership and that membership is like $100 a year or something like that. And this could just feed in the process, and then you submit. And then of course it prompts you for your credit card. Of course, it's not a live site now. It's still in preview, and they're actually not doing live transactions. Because if something goes wrong with credit card transactions
in preview,
that's really not a good thing.
Yeah.
So you can actually just put in one of those test credit card numbers, and it will come back saying, yep, payment's either accepted or not accepted. And then there's a custom table that will track all of these transactions. And of course, you can extend that to your own environments, like to your own membership records or your own donation records. And then away you go. So thank you, Power Pages team, Sandeep, who is ahead of that. And I know when I was still at Microsoft, I saw some early demos of this as well, but it looks like this all came together. So good work, team, and excited to, I am super excited to try this out.
We're going to do this every episode now. Super excited.
So yeah.
Nice. That's so cool. Because we're not all about Power Pages, but because we have a love for Power Pages, both of us, we come from that side, then of course we want to highlight the big news that are coming.
Yeah.
And we talked briefly about Ignite. We're not going to do the whole recap thing because, to be honest, it was, Copilots comes to all apps. It's all over the place. Wherever you go, you can use Copilots to create, to edit, and to use when you use the products. End of story. Kind of. That's the recap. And then there was a lot of things about CPUs and hardware things that I don't get at NVIDIA, and some silicone something. And then some... one of the leaders of OpenAI quit, and then it was and he got back, and that's it. So we're just gonna move on, I think, and then watch out for the next big wave of announcements, and hopefully by then they've gone back to the backlog and go, well, are there any bugs here to fix? Is there any other things that we need to think about other than making the Copilots?
Oh, wait a minute. Right? I thought Microsoft was all caught up on the bug fixes and the other features, and now they could focus on Copilots.
Well, you can laugh at that, but something that we're going to talk about next, I saw in the far end of that description about something that, and this concludes the total admin experience for Power Apps. And I thought, surely there's some more work to be done for the admin perspective in Power Platform. This doesn't conclude anything, but yeah, nice try. And this is actually from Ryan Cunningham's blog post, the Power Platform summary blog post that Ryan Cunningham did. We're going to have a link in the show notes, of course. But he just ramps up, summarizes all the other news that was not really related to Copilot for Power Platform and for Power Apps specifically. So the first is, of course, that Copilot is there for all apps across the platform. And then managed environments now have groups and rules. This means that you can group together, an admin can group together different managed environments and set policies for those environment groups. And that's the rules. So you can have a limit of, you can't really share the environments to more than 5 users, for instance. And this same kind of admin experience, you can also route so that new users that come into this to the Power Platform for the first time will not be automatically sent to the default environment, but they will be sent to their own developer environment, etc. We've talked about this before, but now this is actually here for you to start tinkering with. The features will be available for all customers in preview in Q1 2024. So that's and there's a limited preview available, and we'll share the links to that for those of you who really want to try this out now. And also advisor in managed environments. Did you look into that at all?
A little bit, yeah. But some of these, not too in depth. I went into my environments, and it said no recommendations right now. So
your environment's perfect.
So, set it up perfectly, so I don't need to worry about it.
Nothing to do. Don't need advice in this environment. No, but it's kind of an admin set of tools that I think most of us have already implemented at some point. So there's Power Automate actions that you can do to bulk delete old accounts. It's kind of a cleaning lady in your environment kind of thing. Yeah. And there's a set of tools for you to utilize. It kind of just bundle them in one place. It's easier to find, easier to come, and then you'll get recommendations on what you need to do in order to get your environment kind of cleaned up. And it's a really neat set of admin tools for you to use. So I really like that. And also one of the things that was highlighted in Ryan Cunningham's blog post was that now Canvas apps will be natively enhanced in terms of performance and usability, just like any other native app will be. So there's enhancements in, for instance, performance. So there was a video showing one of the enhancements where they used the barcode scanner. So in the old UX setup, it would take 13.2 seconds to scan 3 barcodes, while in the new native app UX performance, better performance, it took 4.9 seconds. So there's And you don't have to build your app from scratch, because that was my first idea, going, oh, great, now I have to go back to optimize all of these apps. Well, there's a toggle in the admin setting of your existing apps that you can toggle, and then they will also be optimized. And it has to do with the native app kind of experience on your phone or on your device. And that's where the optimization is. So it's kind of a neat update that you can access without having to build everything from scratch. So that's really nice.
Because developers, regardless if you're a low code or a pro code developer, you're lazy or you like to be efficient.
Yeah. So hopefully, most people. And then who wants to really look at the app that you built a year ago? And to be fair, if you don't have any progress in a year and the app that you built a year ago is still perfect, then have you had real progress? I'm wondering. Right. And so there's the last item on our list is announcing general availability for model-driven apps offline for Maker. Yep. What the...
Yeah, so when I looked at this, at first I thought, wait a minute, you always could take model-driven apps offline. Like that's with a model-driven app for mobile, offline was always been a capability, but you could go in and you set the tables, which one we're supposed to go offline and this and that. But that was always from, kind of driven from the Maker side. This is what they kind of call an offline first capabilities, meaning it will sync up. And if you go offline, you don't have to specify you're going offline. It just knows you can continue to go to work. And then when you kind of get back within range again, things will sync up. Huh. So it's funny because you would think that we live in a world where we can get internet everywhere, but that's still not the case. I know I've worked with customers that they're down deep in the mines, where they have limited internet capabilities. I've worked with customers that actually would go out in the middle of nowhere out in the country for certain things. And they would, they just don't have internet access.
We have a customer now where everyone's at sea. It's kind of a limited thing. And to be fair, internet did go down here earlier today. And we're in the middle of Oslo. I think very big office building. So.
I think you broke it, did you? Or
I thought it was you.
No, I broke Power Pages.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You broke
I broke the internet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Having tons of fun here.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking stuff. So that was, again, another one of these general availabilities for something that was probably in preview for quite a while. So, but yeah, so looking at the time, we'll probably have to closing to wrapping up, but we've been doing more than just working. You were at an event last week.
I was. Thomas Sunser and I had the great pleasure of talking about Copilots for 2 whole hours at Dynamics User Group Oslo's fall conference last week. It was a blast. We had 25 people in the room. There was a waiting list, and we actually got to talk about Copilots for 2 hours and show them hands-on. And they had their own developer environments up and running, and we just show them how to get everything enabled and what you can do and how to prompt and the ins and outs. And it was a really, really fun experience. So that was awesome. And what did you do?
Well, I noticed that you had to do a shout out to Thomas Sensor so he would listen. So.
Yeah, because that's what I have to do now. Is like every episode I have to shout out to Thomas, and he doesn't listen. He actually watches the YouTube stream now. So hey, Thomas.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. So I wanted to go to New Zealand, but then, of course, logistics and timing and everything.
Were you there a year ago? Didn't you just say
earlier
today?
I was actually there exactly
Facebook pinged me.
Yeah, Facebook pinged me. I was there actually 1 year ago for the Commonwealth Powerlifting Championships.
Can't go to New Zealand every year, Nick.
I wish I could.
Obviously, you can't.
No. How many times I've been here?
Well, Norway's a different story.
It is
not so exotic. Very cold.
It's cold and it gets dark here. It's like,
it's already cold out. No, dark out. Cold out. It's been cold all day.
It's been cold all day.
Yeah. It's dark.
So speaking of New Zealand, it was the New Zealand BizApps Summit. It was in person in Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch. But it still had an online component. So I was able to deliver online a session on Power Pages for developers. I do know other stuff. I absolutely do. And check out. I just actually found out today I'm going to another conference where I'm not speaking about Power Pages. What? So we'll talk about that after.
All right.
It was really good. It was amazing. I love the crew there. A big shout out to Rami Mula. Who organized all of this, and that whole crew there in New Zealand, the community there, is amazing. The events they put on, the content that they put on, like it's, I know that they're sort of kind of in their corner of the world, far from everybody, but they still make such a huge impact in terms of what they do for the Power Platform and the community on the whole worldwide stage. So big shout out to all my friends and everybody that watched. My session will be on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's there yet, but I know Rami was working on getting all of those sessions on YouTube for everybody who might have missed that. Like, I know that's always a common question, like, will this be recorded? And like, yes, it will be, and it will be posted. So definitely check that out. Mm-hmm. And moving on. Do we want to talk about the Boost Quest or?
Yeah, sure. No. So last week you posted a video and a poll on social medias asking the people that listen to our podcast if they're tired of co-pilots already. And we were expecting a lot of yes, we were tired of co-pilots, but turns out
no,
50% of the people answered said they're still super excited about co-pilots. To me, that's just mind blowing. But it's great.
I think people are coming around because I think, like with you and I, we're not beginning. I think we've always saw the value, but we might have been a little critical at times or a little bit underwhelmed. Or maybe
we have high expectations. That's the way I want to look at it. Yes. I expect more from Microsoft, and I want it to be better when they release something and not make a mess. And so maybe that's what. Maybe they just have low expectations, and then now they're super excited.
Yes, yeah.
Or maybe they think their boss is watching it.
Maybe could be. Yeah, so I think, and I think we're going to probably rejig our Boost Quest in the coming weeks. We've talked about that. But if you have any feedback, here's the Boost Quest question of the week. If you have feedback on how we should do our Boost Quest,
that's
definitely let us know.
Yeah, why not? And we have some ideas, and we want to mix it up a bit, and we want your feedback. So, and we also shared hello@powerplatformboost.com is our email. You reach out to us on any of the social platforms if you want individually or to Boost. Just give us your feedback. We really want it. And we don't always just want your praise. We can do with a bit of a constructive feedback as well. So please help us be better and help us make this better for you. Because that's, we do it because it's fun for us, but also because we want to, give you a boost of some news and updates, right?
Absolutely.
How's that for segue? Right?
That's perfect. Woo! Yeah.
And also, as ever, please share and like and tell a friend or a colleague about this blog post. This podcast. It goes a long way. And also buy us a beer if you want to. And shout out to everyone who does. We really appreciate it so that we can keep this going. It goes to licenses, basically, not to beer, unfortunately.
Or tattoos.
Oh, I wish. Oh, that would be so cool. Right. But it doesn't. If you buy us enough beers, maybe we can afford another tattoo. Now you put that idea in my head.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. That's what I do.
Wow. And thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Our next episode will be December 13th, and that scares the beep out of me because that means that Christmas is just around the corner, and we need to make a plan for how we're going to do this over Christmas. But that's something for later.
We're going to do a Christmas episode.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
Yes, where we dress up and everything.
Okay.
We sing Jingle Bells. You wait. That.
And okay, sounds good. Yep.
Sounds perfect.
Check that out.
Yeah. And thank you so much for listening, guys, to the Power Platform Boost podcast with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrika Ackerbeck. And we'll see you next time for your weekly, timely boost of Power Platform news. Bye, everyone.